We're going down now? Yes. Okay.
Premier Dalton McGuinty has called for Caterpillar to get back to the bargaining table and negotiate an end to the lockout at Electro-Motive Canada. During a noon speech to the London Chamber of Commerce, McGuinty broke his silence on the month-long lockout and rebuked the American company, saying Ontario has a fair labour system as long as both sides are willing to negotiate.
It's not working because the balanced Made in Ontario approach requires that unions and management sit down and talk to try to work out the differences. And so far, the owners of Electro-Motive have failed to live up to Ontarians' expectations.
In a press conference following the address, McGuinty called for Caterpillar to be reasonable.
These jobs are very important to this community. And what do I mean by way of reasonable expectations? Well, that the employer will come to the table and that they will demonstrate some flexibility.
McGuinty called the lockout an extraordinary circumstance in Ontario labour history.
The general rule, I don't like to insinuate myself into these things, but this one strikes me as a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary from what has gone on in recent years, and certainly is what has gone on here in Ontario. At this point in time, I remain hopeful.
About 30 protesters were marching in front of the Hilton when McGuinty arrived, but were disappointed as the Premier entered through a rear entrance. While McGuinty did not visit the protesters on the picket line at EMD, he did meet with two representatives.
He seemed very sympathetic to how things were going.
Maybe as a premier he could ask the company, do you want to bargain in good faith or do you want to close the place? And that was his question too, do they really want to close it?
The Premier began his day with a tour of the 3M head office. For the London Free Press, I'm Ian Gillespie.